Watchers, it is once again Friday and we have gotten our second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But before we break episode 2 down, we want to remind Melvin Goma at Antares Eclipse on Twitter to contact us at thestupendousswave to claim your shield. Now fellow watchers, let us observe all that occurs. There will obviously be spoilers in this breakdown, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, turn back now. In episode 2, Star Spangled Man, it opens with John Walker visiting his old high school to do an interview with Good Morning America as the newly announced Captain America. Before and during the interview, it seems that he wants to fill Cap's shoes appropriately, and that he actually wants to work hard to protect America and serve as its symbol. We see this as he talks to his wife or his girlfriend, whoever she may be, as well as in the interview when he tries to explain what he is trying to do as Captain America. Here we learn some interesting things about him though. The first and biggest thing is that he has no superpowers. He has not yet received Super Soldier Serum if he does at all during the show, and with the inclusion of the Power Broker, we will likely see him gain powers later on. Another thing we can take away from this is that he is really the face of Captain America. While he is a soldier with an impressive resume and apparently quite a few heroic acts as he is the recipient of 3 Medals of Honor, it still seems very much that he is a publicity stunt to boost morale in America. This is very evident because of the way everyone acts around him during this interview. First off, he was interviewed at his old high school where he was captain of the football team. Then as he approaches the interview stage, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance, as well as many fans asking for him to sign not only autographs but toys as well, meaning that to some extent the government has been planning this for some time, proving that they really want John Walker to be the face of America. Despite all his strength and heroism, his main task is to inspire the people of America. As the episode goes on, we see a few other interesting things about him. One of the things I was happy to see was the inclusion of Lamar Hoskins, or Battlestar. It seems that they're making it that Lamar is to John what Bucky was to Steve, that they were best friends that were in the army together and served together, and now are working as a team for the government to both do missions for them and make Captain America look good. While it doesn't appear he will fulfill a similar role as he did in the comics, where he attacked John Walker when John was Super Patriot to boost support for John, he will likely just be an ally that helps John in his fight against the Flag Smashers. Throughout the episode, he tries to work with Sam and Bucky, who don't seem to really want to work with him. Despite John's many attempts to explain that he's not trying to replace Steve, he's just trying to do the best job that he can. But we also see that he is very different from Steve, especially because he seems to be more at the beck and call of the government than Steve ever was. And it also seems likely that he would be a supporter of the Sokovia Accords, even though to some extent it seems that they've been thrown to the wayside by Sam and Bucky. It seems that a lot of John Walker's story in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be to prove himself to America, and it's a race against Sam and Bucky to defeat the Flag Smashers. So as time goes on, it'll be interesting to follow his story, especially if he does get powers from the Power Broker, as well as what will eventually make him give up Cap's shield, as we know Sam does get it. Sam and Bucky's own story in this episode doesn't start off great. Their reunion after what seems to be a little while is not a good one. It starts off with Bucky being very upset with Sam for giving up the shield in the first place. This really shows that the relationship is not off to a great start, especially because of what follows. Neither of them really seems to get along with each other, especially when they are working together. Bucky doesn't trust Sam, and Sam is very snarky around Bucky and doesn't share with him what his plans are. People say communication is key, and these two have very little of that. As it is revealed later on, it seems that Bucky is upset with Sam for giving up the shield because he thinks that if Cap was wrong about Sam, then maybe Cap was wrong about him getting better as well. Whereas from Sam's perspective, he just wants other people to trust that he made the right decision when it comes to Cap's shield. While neither of them really seem to like the new Captain America very much, Sam doesn't seem like he's going to be taking the shield back anytime soon. Eventually, after meeting with Bucky's therapist, both of them kind of work out a deal to work together to figure out what is going on with the Flag Smashers so that they can work out what is going on together and then be done with each other for good. Prior to this final decision of how they're going to work out their relationship up until they end it, both of them end up on a plane to Munich, hunting down to get intel on the Flag Smashers. Here we see some of the differences between Sam and Bucky as heroes and some possible hints at their futures. While they are tracking down the Flag Smashers, Sam jokingly calls Bucky White Panther, but Bucky corrects him and calls himself the White Wolf. And I wonder if this could possibly lead to this being a future title of his as he comes to terms with his memories of being the Winter Soldier, possibly as a new moniker to help him start a new life for himself. As they go through the warehouse tracking down the Flag Smashers, we see some of the differences in how they approach their enemies, as Bucky is more old-fashioned whereas Sam uses technology a lot more. In the following fight, we learn some things about the Flag Smashers as well. First off, that they're getting medical supplies to help those who were affected by the blip, as well as that all the main members seem to be super soldiers. But we want to talk a little bit more about that later. It is at this point in the fight on the trucks that they meet John Walker and Lamar Hoskins. They all fight the Flag Smashers together as the trucks move along, but are all defeated and thrown off the truck by the Flag Smashers. It is after this fight that we see John Walker interact with Sam and Bucky, and it is in no way a friendly interaction. Bucky does not like John Walker and later on even suggests stealing the shield back, but it also seems that John is trying to help, and at that moment is genuinely asking for Sam and Bucky's help even though they are unwilling to oblige. After they go their separate ways, Sam and Bucky are trying to decide what to do with the Flag Smashers, wondering just how they became super soldiers when Bucky reveals something that not many people in the MCU know. This is where Isaiah Bradley comes in. Isaiah was known as the Black Captain America in the comics, and it seems that they stayed fairly true to his character. It sounds like he was made a super soldier around the time of the Korean War, and at some point he fought Bucky as the Winter Soldier and actually beat him, unlike many others who fought him previously. But at the same time he was incarcerated for unknown reasons that could have been to test him and get more super soldier serum out of him so that they could attempt to make more over the years. And with the Power Broker appearing to be a big part of the show, could it come to light later on that Power Broker Incorporated is the reason that Isaiah was imprisoned and tested on? Isaiah is not happy to see either of them, especially the Winter Soldier, because it was his enemy. After he kicks them out of his house, Bucky is arrested for missing his court-appointed therapy. It is shortly after this that we see Sam and Bucky make a plan to figure out what is going on with the Flag Smashers and then never to see each other again. Something interesting that happens during this is that Captain America or John Walker makes it so that Bucky doesn't have to follow the regimen of therapy that he did so that he can help John Walker against the Flag Smashers. It seems that John has a lot of pull with the US government and may eventually abuse that authority as Captain America. Sam and Bucky's story ends with deciding that they are going to go see Zemo to get info on Hydra and the Super Soldier Serum, as Zemo had a lot of information from old Hydra agents. This reveals that Zemo is still in custody and is going to help out the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and will probably eventually escape by the end of the season, which may eventually lead into the creation of the Thunderbolts. As for the Flag Smashers, this internet group seems to have a lot of support around the world, and that is probably because they are probably more anti-heroes than villains, at least to the people affected by the blip. When Sam and Bucky are tracking them in Munich, Sam and Bucky think that they are gun running, when in reality they are stealing and transporting medical supplies, and it turns out that they are taking them to refugees of the blip. While there are only 8 main Flag Smashers led by Carly Morgenthau, a gender-flipped version of Carl Morgenthau, it does appear that these super soldiers have a lot of support around the world. We saw this in the first episode with all the people that came and helped out in the bank robbery, as well as with this episode with the man who gave them shelter and food for the night. They seem to want to unite the world and are a little bit more of global anarchists than straight-up villains. Their saying is one world, one people. While Bucky doesn't seem to be in support of how they help people, Sam seems to be sympathetic to their cause to some extent. And what's also interesting, it seems that they may be against killing people, as they throw John and Lamar off the truck instead of outright killing them. To some extent, it's likely just a plot device to keep the story going, but it would be an interesting take if they weren't trying to hurt people, but just help people. Because after all, the Flag Smasher in Sweden didn't kill Lieutenant Torres, he just knocked him unconscious. After all, the real enemy of the Flag Smashers appears to be the Power Broker, likely because they stole the Super Soldier Serum and the Power Broker is trying to run a business. So it seems that the Flag Smashers may be fighting many enemies on many sides. As for the Power Broker, we haven't seen him yet, we have just seen his soldiers who seem to be mercenaries. And in time we will likely learn where he got the Super Soldier Serum, likely from the testing done on Isaiah Bradley, as well as some possible interactions with Howard Stark, the Winter Soldier, and Hydra. Could it be that whoever the MCU chose to be the power broker, whether it's Curtis Jackson working with a new version of Carl Malice that's not from Jessica Jones, or the second power broker who is only really known by that name and wears a battle suit, or some combination of those characters, or creating a whole new one entirely? Could it turn out that he was a government agent that worked on the super soldier serum or with the super soldier serum, only to become a businessman later selling government secrets? Either way, we will likely see him in the future, likely giving John Walker and Lamar Hoskins their super soldier powers. While the last episode set up where Sam and Bucky were now, this episode set up the rest of the season, giving us what we need to know as Sam and Bucky face off not just against the Flag Smashers, but against the Power Broker, John Walker, and likely even Zemo. I'm excited for what the rest of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has to offer. But what did you think about this episode, and what would you like to see as time goes on? Let us know your thoughts of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the comments below, and then please like this video and subscribe to the Marvelous Wave to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.